All cases we investigate are tough, but when it comes to abuse of a child, I think that's probably the toughest cases that we have to deal with, and that's what I'm here to talk about this morning is one of those tough cases. This involves a 4-year-old who, ironically, her name was Hope. She had absolutely no hope to survive with the parents that she had, and as a parent, it's hard for me to kind of wrap my arms around how a parent can take and abuse their own child. The things that someone will do, and we're not talking about step parents or anything. We're talking about biological parents on what they did to little Hope. Last Friday, Prisma Hospital notified us that a 4-year-old had been brought into the hospital with severe burns, broken bones, cardiac arrest a couple times on the way to the hospital, and was placed on life support. We were notified, and at that time we started our investigation. And what we discovered that some 24 hours earlier, Hope's father had put her in scalding water as punishment for going to the bathroom in her pants. There's difference between disciplining a child and abusing a child. And putting a child in scalding water in the presence of some other children there. There's 3 other children that resided in the residence also. 2 of them watched that. The mom stood by and watched it. They watched Hope suffer. Just imagine the pain that little girl endured at that point. At the hospital, they did all they could. They put her on life support. She was taken off of life support, and her parents weren't there. Our people were there. Our three investigators were there because they didn't want Hope to leave this world by herself. And if you don't think these cases emotionally touch people, then you're wrong. Everybody from the EMS to the hospital to our people, when you see a case like this, it has an impact on you, and it's something that you'll never forget. The other children in the home were EPC. They're in protective custody at this point. It's sad that we have to stand up here and talk about a 4-year-old whose life was just taken because she was a child. She was a child, 4-year-old. And to have your own parents do that to you, I think it's the worst thing in the world that could happen. There's a special place in heaven for little girls like that. That's where she's at. And there's a special place in hell for the parents. The coroner's going to discuss the injuries because they're quite bad. And as you saw, that's Hope's picture up there. Just a precious little girl, and then that's her parents.
As Sheriff Lott mentioned, Hope Fields, a 4-year-old African-American girl, died on February 18th, this past Sunday at 11:17 a.m. She was brought into the hospital on February 16th, the night of, with injuries that occurred in her home that she shared with 3 other siblings and her parents. I would like to thank the team of doctors and nurses and law enforcement staff who stood by Hope's side, who offered her compassion and kindness during the last moments of her life. And I like to think that with her horrific injuries, as bad as they were, that she had some moments of peace and painlessness as she endured what she endured. The details of this case are enough to rock anybody to their core. I've meticulously reviewed the details of this case, and we have ruled out all other manners of death. The death will be ruled as a homicide. As the sheriff mentioned in the police report, that there was the mention of scalding injuries to Hope's skin. As a former ER nurse and as a wound nurse with over 10 years of experience, I know that temperatures above 150, just 2 seconds of exposure to hot water above 150 degrees Fahrenheit can cause severe and permanent second and third degree burns. Hope did suffer. This was not an accident. It was intentional. She fought hard, but her little body couldn't recover. I would like to personally thank our child fatality director at the Richland County Coroner's Office, Ashley Gorganios, who worked so hard along with law enforcement and DSS to find out the details of what actually happened to Hope. My thoughts and prayers are with this entire family because it touches everyone, but for everyone in the community who may have had the pleasure of seeing little Hope, my thoughts and prayers are with you as well.
A couple things to come out of this is that I hope any parent, step-parent, somebody who has custody of a child realizes that if you do this to a child, you're going to be held accountable. You know, being charged with homicide by child abuse is a very serious crime, and you're going to be held accountable for it. So, you know, disciplining your child is one thing, but this is abuse, and as the coroner said, this was not accidental. This was intentional. And so they're going to be held accountable for their actions. That's what they're charged with. They're currently in the Alvin Escalante Detention Center. The other children are going to be protected. We're going to do all we can to make sure that the remaining 3 children don't be subject to anything like this. But just imagine the trauma that they will have to live with now on what they saw and what they heard that day and what they heard for 24 hours after the injuries occurred. Not 2 hours, not 4 hours, 24 hours later before that child was transported to the hospital. And again, just as the coroner described the injuries to Hope, just think of the pain and suffering that she had. So, again, special place in hell for people like this. Questions?
Sheriff, just for reiteration, could you, or do we know, are we able to get the location, that address of the home?
I don't have it up here with me.
Are there any indications of additional abuse prior or to the other children, etc.?
That's part of our investigation. We're not finished. You know, there were prior injuries to her, so this was probably not the first time that she had been subjected to abuse like that. And again, we're trying to take care of the other children and do as much as we can with them and find out from them what they saw, what they've been subjected to, and then also get them the help that they need to. Again, just imagine watching your sister go through what she did. And I doubt, that's just my personal opinion right now, I doubt if that's the first time that she's been subjected to something like that they saw, and I would imagine that they've been subjected to the same thing. Probably just not to the level that Hope had to endure, but they probably did it to the other kids too.
Did the parents have any records?
Not to my knowledge. All right, thank y'all.
Can you get a picture of the little girl?